Next on the calendar for the day is Senate File 3683. The clerk will report the bill.
Senate File number 3683, number 3 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to higher education, the second engrossment.
To the member of the bill from Anoka, Representative Bernardi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Before I begin, I'd like to thank our committee and their staff for their tireless effort on this work. I know we like to rush through these things, but I do think it's important to give people credit who brought us here. So I want to thank our members on the committee, Vice Chair Pryor, Lead Republican Representative Nornes, Representative Daniels, Representative Franson, Representative Gomez, Representative Cleavorn, Representative Lehman, Representative Lean, Representative Lilly, Representative Lucero, Representative Poppy, Representative Quam, Representative Rumbeck, Representative Vang, Representative Wolgamott, Representative Tujong, and our ex officio member, Representative Lyndon Carlson, who has been great counsel. We also have our staff people who work tirelessly day in and day out over the weekends and through the night, as we all know. Nathan Hopkins and Sean Williams from the House, Ken Savory, our fiscal analyst, Bennett Smith of DFL Research. We also have Jason from the Revisor's Office, and I'm spacing his names right now, Callie Lehman, our GOP Research, Eric Peterson, Committee Legislative Assistant, Addie Miller, Committee Administrator, and here's Jason Coonley in the Revisor's Office. And I'd also like to thank Commissioner Olson and his staff, Nikki Oliver, Betsy Talbot, Robert Helgeson, Governor's Office, Ara Johnson, as well as in the Senate, our colleagues over there, including Senator Anderson, Senator Clausen, and Tricia Elite. And I can't help but pause and thank Representative Nornes for his service in the Minnesota House. He is, I believe, the third-ranking member of the Republican caucus and has served here for a quarter of a century. And I want to thank him for his service, and I would say everybody here would like to wish him well and thank him for being such a statesperson, an example of integrity, and such a family man and carrying good values with him to the House. We wish him the very best. So, this has been a bill that has come together with agreement from bipartisan, bicameral support in the House and the Senate, obviously, Governor's Office and our Higher Education Office. This is an important bill. We included stakeholders throughout this process, and we removed any controversial provisions that were in the bill. It does, I'll summarize some of the main things it does. The 5 things I'll share with you is it updates statutes to reflect current agency practices, increases state authorization reciprocity agreements, fees, helps more graduate degree seekers qualify for child care grant program, expands agency collaboration with tribal colleges and career schools, and expands the agency's available tools to prevent Minnesota students from facing a precipitous closure of a school like we saw with the Argosy closure last year. Members, I want to thank you for your support last year when we started this process of putting in stronger laws to help protect our students. We heard from so many heart-wrenching stories from our students and faculty. Their lives had been turned upside down when Argosy's corporate owner decided to abruptly close and leave their students and Minnesotans in the dust. Some were just a class or 2 away from graduation. Those students, families, faculty, and staff came to us for help, and we delivered. We delivered as a body and through our legislative effort. Most of them were able to graduate and become financially whole again. But they asked us for one more thing. They asked us to prevent that from ever happening to another Minnesotan who chooses to go to school to create a better life and future for their families. So we tried alongside the Governor's Office and the Office of Higher Education to come up with a student consumer protection bill. Senate File 3683 is not the strongest bill that we had intended to bring to the floor this year, but it is the first step. In the end, We agreed to the Senate to remove the controversial provisions and to move it forward. And it has the policy bill in it, has a supplemental bill in it. And on the floor on Thursday, the Senate passed it with a unanimous vote. We will include our stakeholders. What's going on over there? What's going on over there? What's that? Oh, who cares about the Senate? These people, for those that didn't see that, they're all raising their arms over there. I did have someone, don't say what the vote was in the Senate before I did this speech, but I did want to let you all know that it did get a unanimous vote. But then, as some people are saying in this body, who cares about the Senate? But anyway, we'll get back to business here. There's no political wins or losses in this bill, no grand statements made here. It just updates our statutes of our current practices. And I already mentioned that to you, sorry, I got on my wrong page here. But what I wanted to let you know is that it is the first step, and that we have commitment from all of our stakeholders, the governor's office, the Senate, the House, that we will move forward together for the next step in next year for 2021 session to put in stronger provisions to help protect our students. So in my closing remarks, I'm going to share just a brief story with you about one of our students that you helped and let you know how you changed her life and Minnesotans' life. And so I encourage you to vote yes on this bill. And I also wanted to mention that Representative Nornes wanted to make some comments as well.
There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, Senate File Number 3683.
Third reading, discussion to the bill. The representative from Otter Tail, Representative Nornes.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And I can't add too much to what Representative Bernardi just said. It's a pleasure working with her as the lead Republican this past 2 years. And I guess urge everyone to vote yes on this bill.
Further, Representative Drazkowski.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Would the author yield for question?
She will yield. Representative Drazkowski.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Representative Bernardi. Representative Bernardi, on lines 5.3 through 5.7 of the bill that I'm reading in front of me here, we direct the Officer of Higher Education and a couple other agencies to set an annual goal.
Representative Drazkowski, I apologize. Could you please turn the mic on?
I thought I did, Madam Speaker. I'm trying.
Representative Drazkowski, try again speaking closer into the mic. No, try again, Representative Drazkowski.
Can you hear me, Madam Speaker?
Representative, yes, we can.
Okay,
Continue.
I won't touch it now. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Meyerson. Madam Speaker, Representative Bernardi, and Representative Bernardi is yielding, I understand. Representative Bernardi, on 5.3 through 5.7 in the bill, the language there says that the legislature directs the Commissioner of Office of Higher Education and two other agencies to set an annual goal for the percentage of high school seniors completing the FAFSA application, the free application for student aid application. Why are we encouraging people to race towards public assistance in our higher education system? Wouldn't it be better served for our system if people would use their resources to the best of their ability rather than encouraging them to pursue the welfare of the state and country as much as they can? What is the purpose for this section of the bill, Madam Speaker, and Representative Bernardi?
Representative Bernardi.
Thank you, Representative Drazkowski. What I will tell you is that I believe that our students ought to be able, who need the assistance to be able to apply for funding that the federal government provides to them. It is in our state's best interest to have as educated of a workforce that we can to help our economy, and this is an investment that the United States of America have made in our students to help them pursue their post-secondary education that is a benefit for all Minnesotans that makes us all successful.
Representative Drazkowski.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I didn't really understand the answer there, but thank you, Representative Bernardi. I'll try again another section of the bill if she'd continue to yield, Madam Speaker.
She will. Representative Drazkowski.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Representative Bernardi, the next section in the bill actually prohibits, as I understand it, our academic institutions here in higher education from withdrawing a student from class attendance if they aren't paying. Can you tell us what interest this has in the people of our state and the success of our higher education institutions if we are essentially placing our higher ed institutions in fiscal calamity, if you will, or fiscal in a bad place in the road to fiscal health, if that might be a better term? If she'd yield, Madam Speaker.
Representative Bernardi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Representative Drazkowski, I believe that you are talking about Section 7 in the bill? Exactly. Well, this forbids a post-secondary institution receiving state financial aid from withdrawing a student from class or suspending a student due to an unpaid student account balance. The language was incorporated from the Senate bill, which used more details to describe periods of instructions. We need our students to complete their schooling and remove barriers, and this is one of the processes in which helps students be able to complete their degrees and to not sever them, and it's a recommendation that came forward by the Office of Higher Education with strong support from the House and the Senate.
Representative Drazkowski.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Representative Bernardi. But members, those are only two different sections in this bill. I haven't fully digested the entire bill. But Madam Speaker, we are a state that is now projected in the latest projection to be $2.5 billion in deficit because of the government shutdown, government-imposed shutdown of our economy, of our families, and our businesses imposed by the governor of this state. Representative Erdahl, I apologize. I invoked that, but Madam Speaker, this situation we're in is very serious. And we have in front of us a bill that we have full control over here as a body. And we are in this particular bill encouraging the people of our state as they engage in the services that are brought forward from our state to be less responsible and not more responsible. We are encouraging our agencies to be less fiscally sound and not more fiscally sound. Madam Speaker, we're going the wrong direction with this bill. Members, we need to stop the spending just for the purpose of spending, as we've seen on a variety of bills that have come before this House in the last week. The state is going in deficit because of what the governor has placed in front of us. We have control in this bill, Madam Speaker, Madam Chair. We actually can control this and not bring forward provisions like this that are going to place us in worse fiscal condition than we're in. We have control over this. Let's not pass this bill. Let's not bring fiscal irresponsibility to our state, actually in the very text of the bill. Let's vote no on this particular House file. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Goodhue, Representative Haley.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can you hear me?
We can, Representative Haley.
Thank you again. Thank you, Chair Bernardi and Lead Nordis, for all your work on this bill. I had the opportunity in my first session as representative to serve on higher ed, and I appreciate all the work you put into this. Particularly, this fixes to address the Argosy situation so that we don't have that happen again to our students. But there is something else that wasn't stated today in your summary, Chair Bernardi, and I would like to share some comments today. I have grave concerns about the current Executive Order 2052. It permits some students who are in their final term in critical sectors to return to safe higher education institutions to complete their post-secondary credentials. While this is a step in the right direction, the order does not allow non-critical students who need in-person classes the ability to resume their coursework and complete their degrees. Many of our career and technical education programs have small class sizes due to the very nature of the equipment they use and how their classrooms are set up. I believe that the institutions are in the best position to decide which students should return to campus safely, and that we need to trust these institutions to make the right decisions for their unique program and their unique individual student needs. It is problematic right now due to the stay-at-home order that institutions are unable to bring their students back to campus. And I believe this is going to create an even more dire situation for our two-year schools come fall. I want to give you a few examples. In my district, automotive and diesel students have to complete their requirements during a summer session. Right now, we don't know if we're going to be able to have a summer session. And so these students might leave our schools altogether. We have other programs that need the summer session and an August mini session because of the amount of coursework they have to complete in a hands-on fashion. They need that time to advance their studies and be ready for fall. This is more problematic for our state right now. We all know that we need the skilled labor that our two-year schools provide and train these students in these critical sectors that our economy is needing right now. If we are unable to deliver these in-person classes, we will interrupt the flow of trained skilled workers at a time when our state's economy needs them. We also, as other representatives have commented today, we are facing a significant budget deficit. And since higher education is a major component of the state's budget, our schools could very well be facing significant financial challenges next year. We should be doing all we can right now to help these schools be in a position to succeed and not be hampering them with inconsistent rules and uncertainty about fall classes. The timing of this is very important right now, as we need to provide assurance to families and students of these institutions as soon as possible so that we can be prepared for summer and fall enrollment. I strongly urge this body to consider these facts and to urge the commissioner and the governor to allow all of our students to return safely to in-person coursework. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Mille Lacs, Representative Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Representative Haley, for raising those issues, because I've heard the same concerns, and we have across the state students who need to be on campus to complete their programs in career technical, and thank you for bringing up that issue so that we can address it. Madam Speaker, would the author of the bill yield to a question, please?
She will yield. Representative Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Representative Bernardi, thank you for honoring Representative Nornes, because he has served us so faithfully, and especially in higher education. And I really appreciated your remarks about him. He is going to be dearly missed by our caucus, and I think this entire body. But my question, Representative Bernardi, has to do with the creation of this new fee for the Office of Higher Education when they're dealing with reciprocity agreements. And then that fee is adjusted for inflation, so it will change on an annual basis. Could you explain why that has occurred in this proposal?
Representative Bernardi.
Yes, Representative Erickson. This is a part, it's as you mentioned, it's called the SARA fee. And this is our higher institutions have agreed to this new fee. It's something that helps to cover inflation and the cost of expenses of administering this program. The higher institutions can choose to pay it and be a part of it or not pay it. They have agreed to pay it out of their current budgets. And so just to let you know, it's actually this bill does not take out any money out of the general fund or use any money out of the general fund, and there are a few fees coming in to help cover the cost of higher education, and the institutions have agreed with those fees.
Representative Erickson.
Thank you, Representative Bernardi, and thank you, Madam Speaker. So the fiscal impact that lists $146,000 in fee revenue starting in 2021 and then continuing is not then a part of the budget of the OHS, is that correct? Or the OHE, I mean.
Representative Bernardi.
Could you just repeat that question, Representative Erickson?
Representative Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you for indulging me. I did want to request to ask another question of Representative Bernardi. In our document, it lists that House Fiscal estimates $146,000 in fee revenue that would start in 2021. And I'm wondering if that then becomes part of the Office of Higher Education's budget.
Representative
Bernardi.
Thank you for asking for clarification. It's not a new fee, it's just being adjusted for inflation.
Representative Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Would Representative Lucero yield to a question?
He will yield. Representative Lucero.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I know that he has served on higher ed, and I had a question about the exemption for religious schools under the private, nonprofit, and for-profit section of Article 3. If Representative Lucero would explain that to us. It's an exemption there, and it's also an exemption for the private career schools. Representative Lucero?
Representative Lucero.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Representative Erickson. This actually was my bill, and it's a technical fix. So under current statute, we as a body, as a state, have decided that nothing in current law would allow the department to interpret the truth or falsity of religious beliefs. And there was an erroneous cross-reference. And so what this, my bill did is fix it to have a correct cross-reference. So thank you.
Representative Erickson.
Madam Speaker, thank you, and thank you, Representative Lucero, for that clarification. That is important for us to understand the difference between new language and technical change. Thank you.
The member from Douglas, Representative Franzen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I too want to stand in support with my colleagues, Representative Haley and Representative Erickson, and advocate that our students be able to go back into the classroom. Alexandria is home to Alexandria Technical and Community College. And this week I was speaking to one of our instructors, Mr. Kevin Hoovey, who runs the machine tool technology. And he was very concerned about hearing rumblings in some schools already deciding that in the fall that students will not be meeting on campus. Alexandria Technical School is home to diesel mechanics, law enforcement, machine tool, mechatronics, professional truck driving, welding technology, classes that cannot be done online. Members and to the public, if these students are not allowed to go back into the classroom, they will not go back to school. They will be done. We already have a shortage of workers in these fields. To continue to keep them out of the classroom, to put them farther behind on their training, only does our state a disservice, it does our country a disservice, and will worsen the crisis in these job fields. So members, I think we really need to discuss this going forward this summer. Thank you.
Further discussion. Representative Bernardi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to share with this body briefly about one of those students from Argosy College. During our testimony, actual box of Kleenexes had to be passed around the room, around our testifying table, in the audience, and amongst our members. Emily was one of those students. She was a dental hygienist student at Argosy. She was just a few credits shy of graduation when she showed up to class one day and the doors were locked. Emily had just gotten engaged and had moved into a new house. She was depending on finishing her courses and practicums at Argosy and beginning her new life. She wanted to work in community dentistry, serving those communities most in need. With the abrupt closure of Argosy, Emily's future was uncertain. Emily's was someone making a decision based on, she wasn't making a decision based on the personal bottom line. Her and her classmates, they were blindsided. And their teachers were too. They were lost and they had no clear path forward. Through the work and support of this legislature, we were able to pass a bipartisan bill last year that helped Emily and her family financially recover. And through the coordination of this body and the Office of Higher Education, Emily was able to finish her courses at Century College and now works in community dentistry. Want to give a shout out to Century College. Their foundation funded the final class for these students at no charge to them because they weren't able to apply for financial aid to help them because it was less than 6 credits. Emily has since come back to our offices and asked us to make sure that she and her classmates, what she and her classmates faced, never happens again in our state. We have that responsibility. We owe that to our students and to our taxpayers. This bill makes incremental steps towards that goal, and I'm so glad we have the commitment to work over the interim and come back for phase 2 in the next biennium. Thank you, members, for your support on this bill, and let's help our students and make Minnesota the best it can be. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll.
Ready? Acom.
Acom, aye.
Acom, aye. Albright. Albright, aye. Anderson.
Anderson, aye.
Anderson, aye. Backer.
Backer, aye.
Backer, aye. Bonner.
Bonner, aye.
Bonner, aye. Barr. Barr, no. Baker.
Baker, aye.
Baker, aye. Becker, Finn. Becker, Finn, aye. Bennett.
Bennett, aye.
Bennett, aye. Bernardi. Bernardi, aye. Bierman.
Bierman, aye.
Bierman, aye. Bow.
Bow, aye.
Bow, aye. Brand.
Brand votes yes.
Brand, aye. Cantrell.
Cantrell, aye.
Cantrell, aye. Carlson, A.
Carlson, A, aye.
Carlson, A, aye. Carlson, L. Carlson, L. Christensen. Christensen. Claflin.
Claflin, aye.
Claflin, aye. Considine.
Considine, aye.
Considine, aye. Daniels.
Daniels, aye.
Daniels, aye. Doubt. Doubt. Davids. Davids, aye. Davney. Davney, aye. Dean.
Dean, aye.
Dean, aye. Damath. Damath, aye. Detmer.
Detmer, aye.
Detmer, aye. Drazkowski. Drazkowski, no. Eklund.
Eklund, aye.
Eklund, aye. Edelson.
Edelson, aye.
Edelson, aye. Elkins.
Elkins, aye.
Elkins, aye. Erickson. Erickson, aye. Fabian.
Fabian, aye.
Fabian, aye. Fisher.
Fisher, aye.
Fisher, aye. Franzen.
Franson, aye.
Franzen, aye. Freiberg.
Freiberg votes yes.
Freiberg, aye. Garofalo.
Garofalo, aye.
Garofalo, aye. Gomez.
Gomez, aye.
Gomez, aye. Green.
Green, aye.
Green, aye. Grossel.
Grossel, aye.
Grossel, aye. Gruenhagen.
Gruenhagen, aye.
Gruenhagen, aye. Gunther.
Gunther, aye.
Gunther, aye. Haley.
Haley, aye.
Haley, aye. Halverson.
Halverson, aye.
Halverson, aye. Hamilton.
Hamilton, aye.
Hamilton, aye. Hanson.
Hanson, aye.
Hanson, aye. Hassan.
Hassan, aye.
Hassan, aye. Hausman.
Hausman, aye.
Hausman, aye. Heinrich.
Heinrich, aye.
Heinrich, aye. Heinzman.
Heinzman, aye.
Heinzman, aye. Her.
Her, aye.
Her, aye. Hertas.
Hertas, no.
Hertas, no. Hornstein.
Hornstein, aye.
Hornstein, aye. Howard.
Howard, aye.
Howard, aye. Hewitt.
Hewitt, aye.
Hewitt, aye. Johnson.
Johnson, aye.
Johnson, aye. Jordan.
Jordan, aye.
Jordan, aye. Jurgens.
Jurgens, aye.
Jurgens, aye. Keel.
Keel, aye.
Keel, aye. Cleavorn.
Cleaborn, aye.
Cleavorn, aye. Cagle.
Cagle, aye.
Cagle, aye. Katiza Watun.
Katiza Watun, aye.
Katiza Watun, aye. Kosnick.
Cosmic, aye.
Kosnick, aye. Kreshaw.
Risha, aye.
Kreshaw, aye. Kunish Podine. Kunish Podine, aye. Lehman.
Lehman, aye.
Lehman, aye. Lee. Lee, aye. Lesh.
Lesh, aye.
Lesh, aye. Liebling.
Liebling, aye.
Liebling, aye. Lean.
Lean, aye.
Lean, aye. Lilly.
Lily, aye.
Lilly, aye. Lippert.
Lippert, aye.
Lippert, aye. Lislegard, excused. Long.
Long, aye.
Long, aye. Lucero. Lucero, aye. Lewick.
Lewick, aye.
Lewick, aye. Mahoney.
Mahoney, aye.
Mahoney, aye. Mann.
Man, aye.
Mann, aye. Mariani.
Mariani, aye.
Mariani, aye. Markwart.
Markwart, aye.
Markwart, aye. Mason.
Mason, aye.
Mason, aye. McDonald.
McDonald, aye.
McDonald, aye. Mecklin.
Mecklin, no.
Mecklin, no. Miller.
Miller, aye.
Miller, aye. Moeller.
Moeller, aye.
Moeller, aye. Moran.
Moran, aye.
Moran, aye. Morrison.
Morrison, aye.
Morrison, aye. Munson.
Munson, no.
Munson, no. Murphy.
Mr. Chief Clerk, before I vote aye, I'm going to tell you that my computer just said I have no internet service. Aye. Murphy votes aye.
Murphy, aye. Nash. Nash, aye. Nelson M.
Nelson M, aye.
Nelson M, aye. Nelson N.
Nelson N, aye.
Nelson N, aye. New. New, aye. Nor.
Nor, aye.
Nor, aye. Nornis.
Nornis, aye.
Nornis, aye. Novotny.
Novotny, aye.
Novotny, aye. O'Driscoll. O'Driscoll, aye. Olson. Olson, aye. O'Neill. O'Neill.
O'Neill, aye.
O'Neill, aye. Pulowski.
Pulowski, aye.
Pulowski, aye. Purcell.
Purcell, aye.
Purcell, aye. Petersburg.
Petersburg, aye.
Petersburg, aye. Pearson.
Pearson, aye.
Pearson, aye. Pinto.
Pinto, aye.
Pinto, aye. Poppy.
Poppy, aye.
Poppy, aye. Poston.
Poston, aye.
Poston, aye. Pryor.
Pryor, aye.
Pryor, aye. Quam.
Quam, aye.
Quam, aye. Richardson.
Richardson, aye.
Richardson, aye. Robbins.
Robbins, aye.
Robbins, aye. Runbeck.
Runback, aye.
Runbeck, aye. Sandell.
Sandell, yes, aye.
Sandell, aye. Sandsted.
Samstead, aye.
Sandsted, aye. Sauk.
Sauk, aye.
Sauk, aye. Schumacher.
Schumacher, aye.
Schumacher, aye. Schultz.
Schultz, aye.
Schultz, aye. Scott. Scott, aye. Stevenson.
Stevenson, aye.
Stevenson, aye. Sundin.
Sundin, aye.
Sundin, aye. Swazinski.
Swazinski, aye.
Swazinski, aye. Tabke.
Tabke, aye.
Tabke, aye. Tice.
Tice, aye.
Tice, aye. Torkelson.
Torkelson, aye.
Torkelson, aye. Erdahl. Erdahl, aye. Vang.
Vang, aye.
Vang, aye. Vogel.
Vogel, aye.
Vogel, aye. Wagenius.
Wagenius, aye.
Wagenius, aye. Wozlowick.
Wozlowick, aye.
Wozlowick, aye. West.
West, aye.
West, aye. Winkler. Winkler, aye. Wolgamott.
Wolgamott, aye.
Wolgamott, aye. Zhang Jie.
J, aye.
Zhang Jie, aye. Zhang Ti.
Zhang T, aye.
Zhang Ti, aye. Joachim. Joachim, aye. Speaker Hortman, excused. Carlson L.
Carlson, L. Carlson, L, aye.
Carlson L, aye. Christensen.
Christensen, aye.
Christensen, aye. Doubt. Doubt. With 127 ayes and 5 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to.